So, death sucks. It's not the most accurate description of it, but it's an understandable consensus. Alright, so with that being said, let's get into the video. What up, guys? It's your boy, Young D.A.C, the Wise, self-proclaimed. But I wanted to do this video. Usually these type of videos I try to avoid. When I was younger, I usually try to avoid having discussions about topics that I feel like would be kind of controversial. I usually try to keep a neutral stance on things. But as I get older, I realize that's not a good way to live. You know, you're gonna have to have a viewpoint and say if you won't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And I haven't always, I mean, it's not like I would just fall for everything and just wouldn't be into things. So I want to do this video because it's something I've been thinking about for a while, and it's really been on my mind more so recently. If you couldn't tell by the little intro clip, which I'm trying something out. So I did a little intro clip for the video, and hopefully the little graphic that I made, it's cheap. I made it on Snapchat, just like have something for my channel, I guess. I'll keep editing it to try and make it look nicer, to really get a marker from my channel. But we'll talk about that. We'll worry about that later. But I'm talking about death, and this is probably be a little triggering, I guess, just in case people don't like hearing about death or other things I may talk about in this video. That's just a warning. But it's been like a couple days since Mac Miller died, and there's not many celebrity deaths that I've really cared too much about, but for some reason this one particularly affected me. Like when my coworker told me about it, I was caught off guard because I was like, Mac Miller, that's so random named for, like, you wouldn't hear that in the news for death. I didn't think, at least no time soon. I think that's kind of how we look at all our favorite celebrities. You don't think that one day they'll just not wake up. You know, most people you just want to, like, you know, pass peacefully. Not, well, I mean, he overdosed, so he might have been fine, I guess. He probably drowned out all those bad feelings that he had to the very end. But, you know, you don't really think about it being this young. And I'm not saying that I was the biggest fan of Mac Miller. Like, I liked his music, and I'm definitely going to be listening to more of his music as time goes on. But it's just like, you know, I didn't really get to know him as a person. I just liked his music. But for some reason, finding out that he died really bothered me. Like, I actually liked him, but I didn't like him enough to know him as person. Like, Michael Jackson was the only celebrity death that, since I've even understood that celebrities even die, because I think Michael was like the first celebrity that I knew that died, and that really affected me. Like, I actually cried when he died. So, you know, out of all of the celebrity deaths, Michael's was the one that most affected me. But I didn't really think much afterwards. Like with Mac Miller, I don't know if I was more so affected by the fact that he died or affected by the just death itself. Like, it's weird. I don't know. I was going through emotions and I got kind of depressed thinking about it. But it's just like, you know, I think I really got depressed because of the fact that, you know, we never really, you know, that on Twitter they always go with the you never know what people are going through, don't wait till it's too late. And it's like, I really thought about that, because it's like, when you overdose, That's drugs. Obviously, Dale. Duh. But it's like drugs. And I saw on Instagram a couple people was talking about how, he got a heavy drug addiction because of the fact that, he doesn't being sober was kind of like a struggle. And I think what really affected me was the fact that we truly don't understand certain people. And it's kind of sad that even in death, we don't really try to. Because um, there's a term for this, if I'm not mistaken. It's blind spotting. It's basically where you take like one aspect of a person and you see that for the whole person itself, if that makes sense. There's a movie about it, and that's how I learned about the term because I was watching a YouTuber talk about it, and I want to kind of watch it to get a better understanding of it. But you know, I feel like we're all victims of blind spotting in some type of a way. Like in the movie, there was a black dude and a white dude. They were best friends and they grew up. And they, spoiler alert, the black dude ended up going to jail for something the white guy did. And one of the other characters in the movie apparently couldn't get past the one bad thing that he's did, and that was her blind spotting him for seeing him as just the one mistake he made, whereas he's trying to get out of that image. And I think we do that with celebrities a lot. Like Mac Miller, I didn't really know who he was because I didn't know who he personally was. Like I knew his music and stuff, I knew what he looked like, but I didn't really know like the type of person he was because I didn't look at like interviews or nothing like that. Like I don't really get into celebrities' personal life too much unless they're girls, mostly just because I'm more interested in that. But it's like I did this with Triple X Tentacion. He died like I think months ago. I didn't really like him before he died, and I'm not trying to say, oh, he's better now that he died. It was just I never really tried to pay attention to him because there was this video I saw. It was like a year or two ago by now, and people were accusing him of trigger warning rape, and he made a response video and he was like, he said something, and he said that he would rape like little sisters and something like that. So I didn't like him off the bat because of that. And then there was the whole thing about how he was probably abusing his girlfriend or whatever. So I tried to avoid him. But when I found out that he died, it was like, dang, niggas out here really dying. I'm probably gonna get demonetized, but I mean, it's not like I'm making money anyway, so I can't really get demonetized. So I guess it doesn't really matter. But it was like, wow, because he was only like 20. Like me and him are the same age, so that affected me because it's like, well, I mean, obviously there's a lot of different things that's separating me from ending up like him. Well, I think mostly because I just be in the cut. Like, there's probably, well, I doubt it. I don't think that highly of myself for people to actually feel like there's a reason to dislike me, but I don't feel like I'm really out there for people to care enough about my existence. Like, even at work, people might get mad if something goes wrong at work, but you have to be a psycho to really get mad about somebody like that is doing their job and might make a mistake. Like, well, the world we live in. But anyway, it's just like, dang, you don't really think, like, for me personally, I don't really think about this people dying. Like when I was younger, I never really thought about like celebrities just one day not ever coming back. And it sucked, especially when Michael died, because it's like he was gonna make this great comeback tour, and it was gonna be good, and we was gonna get so much music and a great performance, and then he died, and it's like celebrities die, like you. For some reason, it's just like for me, it's kind of like eye opening. Like wow, my first experience with death was, I believe, it was my great grandma. And it was like, it was weird because it didn't really hit me until I saw her in the casket. Because it's like, wow, I feel like such a terrible grandchild because I didn't treat you as well as I should have while you were still here. And now it's like you're gone, and it's like you actually aren't coming back. What's up with that? So what? when X died, it was like, okay, I mean, whatever he did, regardless, nobody deserves to just get shot and die. And what made it worse was the fact that people were recording it. Like, the worst thing about the whole death was the fact that people literally recorded his body slumped in the car. And it's like, I know I keep saying it's like, it's a bad habit, but really? Nobody called the ambulance. Nobody decided, hey, maybe we shouldn't record this. Which, I mean, really, everybody's kind of desensitized. And I feel like that's kind of where I'm at with death, too. Because it's to a point where I'm like, I know people die. And I'm not too affected by everybody dying. Because I understand that, I don't. At the point I'm at, I don't really have too much of a connection with people to think that I will feel a certain type of way, but I know no matter who it is, I'm gonna feel a type of way if I actually know them personally or if I know who they are. Because I mean, death is something that you don't really want to think about it happening to anybody, and then it does, and now you're stuck because you didn't think about what this happening anytime soon. But the whole thing about blind spotting was I only looked at X for that specific video, so I tried to avoid anything about him. And a lot of people on Twitter, like, that was the most divided I've seen Twitter, mostly because I don't really care too much about things that go on Twitter unless it's funny. But that, no, even though I didn't even get into Triple X, everybody on the timeline was talking about him dying. Like with Mac Miller, it was like a couple people that I follow were talking about it, how sad, how he was an inspiration. Everybody was talking about X dying. And it was divided because a lot of people was like, oh, good, an abuser's dead. Other people were like, oh, he shouldn't have died. He really helped me with depression and stuff like that. And I was like, the nigga that said he was raping little sisters, was gonna rape little sisters, is helping people with depression? What? So I was like, maybe I don't really know who X really is. Because, like I said, I only saw that one video, and there was that one music video that went around that people were reacting to, that one video where he put a noose on like a little white kid. And I still don't know what that song. I think it's Look at Me. But I don't see that video. It's probably because they took it down because of the controversy of it. But I never watched the video because before then I saw that other video and I was like, I'm staying away from this nigga because I feel like it'd be problematic. Of course, I had to think about what if I actually like the people I'm supposed to hate. Because it was kind of the same way with Joyner Lucas because of how he felt about Logic. But now I don't really like Logic like that. And I like Joyner Lucas a little bit more. Mostly his songs with Chris Brown, those are like lit songs. But anyway, the point is, I was blind spotting him because I only looked at him for that one act that he showed. I mean, he showed many more, but I just never cared enough to get into it. So I decided one day that I was going to listen to his music. I watched the video for Sad and I thought it was weird because it's like he's dead in the video, but he's fighting his dead self. It's like, what? But I kind of liked it, so I was like, all right. And then there was Jocelyn Flores that I kind of liked too. So I kind of softened up a bit about, how I looked at him. And I listened to his Question Mark and the other album he made before that. It was Question Mark and something else. I got both of them now. And I'm not trying to say I popped on the bandwagon or nothing and I like him now. Because Lil Peep, he also died. I listened to one of his songs. I literally did not know who he was until he died. But the same feeling I got from him is kind of what I got from him dying is what I got from Mac Miller dying. It's like, there's very depressive vibes coming from the way these two died because of the drug overdose. But yeah, I started listening to X's music and there was more songs that I liked. One of my one of my homeboys, he was listening to one of his songs, I Don't Want to Do This Anymore. And I was like, this doesn't sound bad. So listening to the last two albums he did, then I got a different feeling from him, because you could just kind of tell, like, the mindset he was going through, and that he was trying to be a better person, or at least trying to show you the type of person that he was and what he's been going through. And I'm not trying to say that I understand him, because I still really don't, but I feel closer to an understanding of him because of actually listening to his music and going past that one video. When we're young, we all make stupid mistakes and we say stupid things. I've been really learning to stop judging people based on one act that they do. It's like you don't necessarily have to look past somebody's problematic behavior, but that also doesn't mean that you can't like the things they produce. I mean, look at R. Kelly. He should have been in jail for like a long time ago. People still bumping his music. The Boondocks made a whole episode about it like 10 years ago by now, and it's still relevant because he's still not in jail. So it's like, and there it is again. But it's people can be problematic. It's different with X though, because he was at least trying to change. R. Kelly is just, I don't know what he got going on, but it's different. You can't always look at somebody. We're all works in progress. There's probably somebody out there looking at us and is like, you're pretty problematic. Like, somebody could watch this video, it'd be the first video they watch of me, and like, he's just a bandwagoner. He's problematic. He always judging people. It's like, I do sometimes. You gotta look past this and understand that we're all growing, we're all changing. For the better, hopefully. So you can't just look at somebody for one thing they may have said in anger. Watch them to make sure that, like if it's somebody watch them to make sure they don't have any malicious intent. But you just can't solely focus on this one thing. You gotta understand a person completely, not just look at them, not blind spot them, which is basically what I was trying to get to. But anyway, back to Mac Miller dying. When Mac Miller died, and then, like I said, the similar feeling I got from Lil Peep is just drugs. Now, I'm not a drug connoisseur. I understand little to nothing about drugs. But I know there's a problem when you feel like they're the only solution that you can go to when you have a problem. And it's definitely not good to feel like you have to run to something else to fight your problems. And it sucks because, a lot of times, us as humans, we go through a lot in our own silent battles, and nobody really knows what we go through. Like, me personally, I feel like, I'm not, well, I'd be lying if I said I'm not depressed. I have my days where I get depressed. Like, after Mac Miller died, depression, like, kicked me in the butt. Like, I was literally just sitting in the dark thinking about, wow, like, nobody really cares. And it hits me like that because you think about how, that's not to say that everybody that has depression, it doesn't have somebody that's checking up on them. And, if you're that somebody, don't feel like just because somebody ended up, dying regardless of what you tried to do, that you weren't doing your best or that you weren't even appreciated. It's just, I understand some people have those days where it's just, too much to bear, and that's the worst part. I hate that we feel like we suffer so much. Like, me personally, I don't really go through much to really feel as depressed as I usually do, but it's just like, nobody that feels a certain type of way ever, well, I don't want to say ever really, but it's like rare for, like, if somebody's getting bullied, it's not just because the bully is bullying them that they feel a certain type of way. It's because they start believing everything the bully says. They start envisioning what the bully is saying to them, and they think about it every day, and it's in their head every day. And that voice that originally the bullies becomes theirs, and they keep putting themselves down, and then they envision themselves as this thing that the bully has created for them. Sometimes, not everybody has a strong will and can say, hey, I'm nothing like what you're trying to make me out to be, so I don't have to listen to you. Like, I have a very strong will most of the time, but some days it's like, if one thing, it's always the same scenario. It's like I mess up in one thing, and then something else, and then something else, and then something else, and then it just gets to the point where it's stuck in the back of my head. It's like, wow, you really suck and you fail. And it's like, look at you, nobody's even here to try and tell you that you're a good person or anything. So you're not, obviously. Nobody cares about you. You're sitting here in your dark room wanting somebody to talk to you and ask you what's wrong, but nobody's going to do that because nobody cares. And even if they do, you're not going to tell them because you know nobody cares. It's thoughts like that really seep in your head, and it's a familiar voice because it's yours. You can fight anybody any day about what they say about you, but when what they say starts becoming what you say, it's hard to fight yourself. That's the worst part. And when you feel like you have to, drugs is the most common thing that people tend to go to in a depressive episode, and it's definitely not good, because I don't think there's any drug that you can take that's actually good for your body in any quantity that you consume it in. And so if there's no good drug, it's definitely no good drug to take in huge amounts. So when people overdose, I guess for me, I really think about how deep in the negativity they had to get into to get to this point. Because most people don't, well, like I said, I don't know people personally, but I feel like nobody just decides they want to down a couple or a bunch of drugs just for fun. There's a lot of feelings behind it, and sometimes it just gets to a point where, like, okay, usually I'm running away for a little bit and it's fine, but now it's like it keeps coming back and it's catching up to me quicker than the drugs can push it out. So what now? And death. I think that's the worst thing. Like, yeah, X got shot, and that's not good either, but that's like an outside force. Like, if X wouldn't have got shot, or if he would have been able to get the proper help that he needed in a decent amount of time, he would still be out here. There's nothing that you can do that's going to stop you from getting shot. Like, if somebody decides they want to shoot you, unless you just, I don't know, escape the planet, they're going to find a way to shoot you. There's nothing you can do to avoid that. Drugs, obviously you can avoid drugs if you just stop taking them altogether, but once you get into that feeling, that's why I don't try to do anything I feel like I could get addicted to. I don't drink coffee. I don't drink alcohol, even though when I turn 21 I'll probably do that a little bit, just to see, just test the waters. But like, I don't take medicine because my stupid brain is like, if you take medicine, then you're gonna have to become dependent on it, because your body is not gonna be able to handle the situations that led you to taking the medicine. It's stupid, but it's like, once you get that taste of something in your system, it's, especially if the drug is strong, it's gonna be so hard to be sober, because it seems like the way the medical world works, if you have one thing, take medicine for it. If that medicine doesn't work, you're probably going to have to take medicine for the side effects of the other medicine that you're taking. It's like, it's so much medicine that you have to get, or so many drugs that you have to use, that you get very dependent on them. So I'm not trying to get to a point where I have to be dependent on anything that I can't, like, if I can't eat something to get my body to function a certain way, or drink something to get my body to function a certain way, then I don't really want to get into it, because drug addiction is a very serious thing. It's not something you can take lightly, because it's something, like I said, I know little to nothing about drugs or their effects, but I feel like it's so easy to get addicted. Like, some people can take a drug once and it's like, oh, I'm fine. But I'm sure if they take it a couple more times after that, they're no longer going to be fine. So when you keep going to drugs, especially, I'm sure certain type of drugs or certain quantities and strengths of drugs, if you get into that enough, then it gets to a point where you have to continue to do it. And for most people, when they get addicted to drugs, they have to take more and more and more and more, because the effects don't last as long once your body starts getting used to it. It's a part of the system. It gets to a point where it's just like how you drink water every now and then, or you eat every now and then. Now you gotta take this drug every now and then because it's a part of your daily routine. It's in your system. And it's when you add emotion into it too, anything done with emotions, I feel like, is even more detrimental. I talked about this in my other video a little bit, but if you're trying to fight your depression with drugs, every time you feel depressed, you're gonna run to this drug because you don't know any other way, or you haven't exercised any other way to try and nullify it. Or you've tried these other options and it's just not working. Somehow you come upon this drug that takes the feeling away, and now it's like every time I feel depressed, I'm gonna take this drug. And since you keep taking it because you feel depressed way more often than not, now it's like, okay, I gotta take more of this drug because of the fact that I've done it so much. Now my body's kind of used to it. The depression is starting to catch up. And this, like, I can't go to anything else because I have easy access to this. So now I gotta keep taking it, and I gotta take more and more. And some days the depression, like I said, just gathers up so much that just like the usual amount isn't enough, so you have to take an extra amount. And then you might want to take a little extra amount just to top it all off, or just in case the little bit that you did take doesn't work. And it's really easy to get into taking too much of it at once. Your body can only take so much, and the drug is going to wear your body down anyway, because I'm sure most people, when they get addicted, it's usually only the drug that keeps them going. And that's another thing. You stop listening to the usual, oh, you gotta eat, you gotta drink water. Now it's, no, I can just take this drug and I can go on about my day. I don't need anything else. So your body starts failing because you're not taking care of it, and you're just feeding it this drug. And now, unless you can find motivation to get sober, unless somebody tries to help you out, now you're probably dead. And it's not a good way to live. I think thinking about all of that is why an overdose really affects me a lot. Not me personally, because like I said, I don't do drugs. I don't know anybody that does drugs and overdoses. It's just not. It just seems like a lot. And I don't like the circumstances that lead to people having overdoses. It's one thing if it's like an accident, but I'm pretty sure for most people it's intentional. This kind of goes into suicidal territory because you stop wanting to live on this earth. And there's a lot of people that, instead of trying to help you, will just judge you, and that leads into more into suicide, because now it's like, I had this drug, I'm depressed, nobody is paying attention to me, or everybody that is telling me how much of a drug head I am. They're not trying to get me any help. Nobody really cares about my existence, so I might as well just end it. And when I was younger, I thought about it like once, because I was young and stupid. I'm not trying to say that anybody that considers suicide is stupid. It's just I was at the time. But I thought about, I thought about everybody else. Like, people would actually feel bad about me dying. So why would I do that? It's stupid to try and die now because I'm on punishment and I can't play with my toys. Like, I was an idiot as a kid. But I know there's people that feel like they have legit reasons to just rid themselves of this earth. And I just hate the thought of somebody having suicide running through their mind because of everything going. They feel like everything is going wrong and that nobody's there for them. So, if you happen to stumble upon this video and you made it this far into the video with all my rambling, I just want you to know that even if it feels like there's no hope, there's hope. Sometimes it's very hard to keep pushing forward, and it's always a struggle. Even for somebody like me, it's always a struggle sometimes. It's always a struggle sometimes that doesn't even go together. Sometimes it's a big struggle to find motivation and to keep going in the path that you're taking, because when you see failures, and it's not like me to give up off of like one or two failures, but sometimes I have multiple failures and then it's just like, okay, why am I even trying to do this? And it gets to that point sometimes. But in order to succeed, you have to fail. I don't want anybody to, and I know it's a lot easier to say this when I'm not in a situation where I know somebody like this, or knowing that the situation somebody is in. And I'm not saying that people deserve to have the things that happen to them to make them stronger or something like that. Which initially I did think, this may have happened to you, but it's building you to be stronger. That is not necessarily a bad thought, but it's not a good thing to feel like, all these bad things are happening to me to toughen me up. Because then it's like, what did I do to deserve this? What am I going to do with this strength that I'm supposed to be getting if I don't even want to be here anymore? So, it's tough. Life is tough. And life can suck a lot. And sometimes you feel like there's no reason to even continue in the path that you're going, or even continue living. And I know, like, in today's age, we kind of make suicide kind of like a joke now, because it's like, oh, we all want to die, but, seriously, suicide, well, they say suicide is a permanent solution for a temporary problem. We can't say that things will get better until we actually live to get to that point where it gets better. It may take a month, a couple months, a year, but things eventually will get better. If you can find somebody that can at least make you want to live a little bit longer, hold on to them. If you can't, try to be that person that makes you want to stay here a little bit longer. Me personally, I'm my own person. Not, like I said, I'm not suicidal, and I haven't thought about it. I had to record this part a couple days later because my camera just randomly cut off, so I didn't get to finish the video like I wanted to, and I didn't even know if it saved. So I'm back to basically finish it off. Luckily, I still been wearing the same shirt, so if I didn't say anything, you probably wouldn't notice. But what I was saying was, I'm not suicidal, but I realize you can't depend on other people to, one, determine your happiness in life, and two, you can't rely on them to be somebody that you basically live for, because a lot of people that you feel like you can depend on, or that they'll never leave and they're always going to be around for you, most of the time they're not. I mean, maybe I've just been unlucky when it comes to having like constant support and like a multitude of friends that support me. Like, I have 3 friends that like I actually hang out with and get along with and talk to outside of work every now and then. And you know, they haven't failed me. My brother, you know, me and him been friends since like 7th, 8th grade. So that's a bond. I know that's not going anywhere, but it's rare for me to find like people now since I've been like me and my brother, the bond that we have, he's seen me been in like my lowest of points and I've been getting better. Now that I've gotten better, it's kind of hard to, well, I guess I haven't really always been as good as I should have been. It's like a lot of people didn't stick around for that, so it really doesn't matter what the circumstance was. It's just, you know, I'm not one of those people that always has like people that, you know, check up on them and are always trying to hang out and stuff like that. I mean, I'm a loner anyway, so I'm kind of used to it now. It's some days when depression hit, like when did I start recording this video? I forget, but I definitely was depressed a couple of days ago. It's just a lot of things at work just weren't going well, and then I was just thinking about other things in life, and it's just ever since it had to be the day after I started recording, because ever since I started talking about death, like after that video, after the camera cut off, and I thought I wasted my time, that just started the low point. And then the next day going to work in the terrible condition that I went to work in, that just depression sucks. And the whole time I'm in my depressive moods, I think about how there's like nobody there for me at the moment when I actually need them to be there. And I have to pick myself up out of my own depressive space. So that's why I say that I'm living for me, because, you know, I've always been there for myself. Like, I'm always there in the moments that I need to be there. And I mean, you know, you can't expect people to just be like, oh, such and such must feel depressed, let me go hit them up right quick. I understand that. And I'm not saying that I don't want friends if they can't do that for me when I need them to. I'm just saying that's the circumstances that I've been growing up with. Like if I'm not around somebody, even if I'm around somebody and I'm feeling depressed, not many people really notice anyway. So notice or care. So that's why I feel like the best thing you can do is live for yourself. Because you know you're there for yourself in every moment of the day. Even when you're around certain people, you're still there with yourself at the same time, if that makes sense. So, you know, that's why I'm my own person. Like I said, I'm not suicidal. Even when I get depressed, I don't think about suicide. I just think about how it's really just me out here. And that's kind of hard. And I'm not trying to be ungrateful to the people that actually have supported me and have cared for me. It's just, you know, in the moments, my darkest moments is where it's kind of like you don't really feel that, because it's like, it's just like I said, it's just me. So yeah, I'm trying not to make this little part too long, because I have to edit like 5 parts together anyway to make this video. So I'm hoping the audio doesn't lag up like it did in the other video. But that pretty much wraps it up, even though that kind of unraveled something else. Maybe we'll say that for another video, but that's it for this video. I'll probably either upload it later on today, or I'll just wait till a better time. I don't know. But thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Sorry this is kind of haven't really been feeling nothing that much, but I'm out. Ah, jeez. This quality is kind of terrible. That should work. Alright, so crap. So